Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a huge idea with a, let's be honest, a pretty complicated name. But don't worry about the jargon just yet. At its heart, this is all about a question we are all facing. How do we actually create real, meaningful change in our lives and in the world around us? Let's go ahead and unpack the hidden architecture of transformation.
You know, we live in an age that is just completely obsessed with change. We hear words like innovation, disruption, transformation all the time. But let's get real for a second. For all that talk, how much of it actually feels meaningful? I mean, we upgrade our phones, we change our workflows, but do we feel fundamentally different? We're about to explore the hidden reason why so much of this modern transformation can feel so, well, hollow. So let's start with a really powerful idea. What if true change isn't just some random accident? What if it actually has a hidden structure, like an art and an architecture that we can understand, and maybe, just maybe, learn to build ourselves? So what if real transformation isn't just something that happens to us, but a patterned process that we move through? Now that's the core idea here, that meaningful change has a structure. It has a rhythm and a logic that we can actually learn to see and navigate. Okay, so let's build this concept from the ground up, piece by piece. We'll start with a powerful way to look at it, as a kind of blueprint for becoming. And to do that, we have to understand the three key ideas that are baked right into its name. First up, systemic. This just means that we never ever transform in a vacuum. You're part of this huge web of relationships with your family, your culture, your technology, and when one part of that web changes, everything else ripples. So a real transformation isn't just personal, it's an event that reshapes the entire system you're part of. Next, we have aesthetics, and this is so important. This is not about making things pretty. The word actually comes from the Greek for perception, aesthesis. It's about the felt logic of the change. It's the story, the symbols, the rituals, even the feeling of terror or beauty that make a transformation feel real and meaningful to us. Without this aesthetic layer, change is just noise. And finally, initiation. This isn't just about flipping a switch from an old you to a new you. No, it's a structured passage, a real journey from one way of being to a completely different one. And that journey has a classic repeating pattern. And this journey, it almost always follows the same three-step pattern. It starts with disintegration, a letting go, a kind of death of the old self. Then you enter liminality, that confusing, messy, in-between space where you're not who you were, but you're not yet who you're going to be. And finally, if you make it through, there's reintegration, where you emerge with a brand new identity, completely repatterned by the experience. So, when you put it all together, the systemic context, that aesthetic feeling, and the initiatory structure, you get this incredible idea. Transformation as a form of art, a process of becoming that has pattern and meaning, and yeah, even a kind of beauty. It's a beautiful framework, right? But it brings up a huge question. If transformation is an art form with a blueprint, then who gets to be the architect? Who designs the rules? And that question, my friends, is exactly where this whole idea gets really, really complicated. So now, we're going to look at this entire concept through a postmodern lens, which is a perspective basically designed to question the very foundations we just built. Time to shake things up. You see, the postmodern approach is skeptical by nature. It really distrusts any single grand narrative or universal blueprint for anything. Instead, it looks closely at our language and asks what power structures, what hidden assumptions are baked into the very words we're using, words like system, aesthetics, and initiation. Just look at how the meaning of aesthetics completely flips on its head. In that first view, it was our guide, the felt logic that helps us through the chaos. But in the postmodern view, it's just semiotic play. And that means meaning isn't fixed. Truth kind of dissolves into appearance. Symbols can mean anything, or maybe nothing at all. All of a sudden, our reliable guide is just gone. Our core idea totally changes depending on the lens you use. For systems theory, initiation is an adaptive transformation. But look at that postmodern view, right down there at the bottom. It just blows the whole thing apart. It sees the system as just text to be interpreted, aesthetics as nothing but surface performance, and initiation as just a narrative trope, a familiar story with no essential truth behind it. So it feels like the postmodern lens just took a sledgehammer to our beautiful blueprint. If there's no stable meaning, no objective structure, what's left? Well, This is where the two perspectives collide and create something entirely new, and frankly, I think even more powerful. Here is the crucial point. The concept isn't a scientific formula for change. It's what we call a performative metaphor. That means the concept itself is a tool that does something. The very act of using this language, of thinking in this way, is what creates the change. This quote just nails it. The framework gives us a language to navigate a world that has no fixed answers, no stable center. The initiation isn't about arriving at some new fixed identity. The initiation is the act of realizing that identity is always in flux, always being rewritten. The language itself becomes the ritual. Okay, so what in the world does this all mean for us, right here, right now? How does this abstract idea actually apply to our world of social media, artificial intelligence, and global crises? Our new initiations, our modern rites of passage, they're happening all around us. And a lot of the time, there's no guide. They're happening in the way AI is reshaping our minds, and how we build identities on social media, and our collective response to climate change, and deep inside powerful social movements. These are the new liminal spaces. And this has massive implications. Ethically, it means the people designing our technology, our education, our culture, they have a profound responsibility for the transformative experiences they are creating. The aesthetics they choose, the design of an app's interface, the narrative of a news story are actively shaping how our collective consciousness evolves. So, we end with this. In a world of constant, chaotic change, where we are all being initiated into futures we can't even predict, the question isn't if we will change. The question is how. Can we consciously design the systems that shape us? Can we infuse our thresholds with meaning, with intention, with an aesthetic that actually awakens us? Can we make our becoming beautiful enough to deserve the future it creates?